Since I first discovered kite surfing, I realized this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And today, as well as it being my hobby, my distraction, my leisure time, it also became my livelihood. Kite surfing drives my healthy lifestyle. The connection, being present in the moment, it's empowerment, it's meditation, it's knowing how to respect nature, experiencing the elements, wind and sea. For me, it is pure magic. The best way of taking care of my mind is to go to the sea every day.
Welcome back to Vision 2025. I hope that your bellies are full and your bladders are empty because we're just getting started. As I mentioned before the break, we have a lot of exciting moments in store for you this afternoon. To get us started, give our next guest a warm virtual welcome. Jason Cisneros is a lifelong entrepreneur and expert in direct selling. We are lucky to have him share the inspiration behind his great success as we gear up for our best year yet in 2025.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders, visionaries, and warriors of human potential, my name is Jason Cisneros, and I am honored to be with you today as both a passionate entrepreneur and a proud brand partner of Lifewave. Over the years, I've built and exited more than 24 businesses. I've spoken to audiences around the world, and I've committed my life to empowering others to achieve their dreams. For the last 10 years, I've also worked as an undercover operator rescuing children abducted into the sex trade. See, Lifewave holds a special place in my heart because it represents not just innovation, but opportunity. Opportunity that can be acted on to create individual freedom. Ethical capitalism. It's a movement that can change lives. There's a quote that I hold close to my heart, and it's a necklace that was gifted to me many years ago. It's one that encapsulates the fire that drives us as entrepreneurs and as human beings. And the saying is this: the most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. And today, as we gather for Vision 2025 under the banner of Be the Light, I want to explore that fire, that light inside of each of you. We're here to talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, not just the spirit of business, but the spirit of creation, resilience, and transformation. It's the essence of taking an idea, a vision, or a dream, and making it a reality, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. That's what Lifewave represents, and that's why we're here together. The theme of this event, Be the Light, it's not just a poetic aspiration. It's a challenge. It's a call to action. But let's break it down. What does it mean to be the light? Each of us carries within us a spark, a potential so powerful that it can ignite revolutions, launch movements, and change the trajectory of a generation. That spark is your unique gift, your entrepreneurial spirit, and your unshakable belief that the world can be better because you're in it. You, the one listening to the sound of my voice, carry within you the spark to ignite the change that bridges the gap between where you are and the truth of God's highest and best version of who you are. But here's the truth. Most people go their entire lives without feeding that spark. They let it dim under the weight of self-doubt, fear, and the voices of the naysayers who say, it can't be done. The voice inside your mind and from those closest to you seemingly can't wait to remind you of your failures. You feel the gut-wrenching belief that you're not even worthy of a dream. See, in my 20 years of helping thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs just like you through my company Built to Exit, I've learned the biggest hindrance to exponential, limitless growth is fear and shame from failure. I've witnessed failed marriages, affairs, bankruptcies, drug addiction, alcoholism, porn addiction, things that would make your head spin as I've helped entrepreneurs work through the personal issues that threaten to strangle their entrepreneurial spirit and snuff out their light. Let me tell you something and remind you, just in case you forgot. As long as you are willing to chase down and conquer your demons, strengthen the areas where you are weak, and do the hard work that it takes to get better in your life, your family's life, and the lives of those around you, there is nothing that can stop you. There is no shame, no guilt you're carrying that should stop you from reaching your highest and greatest potential. Look, I've had failed marriages. I've struggled with homelessness. I've gone bankrupt before I learned what it took to properly scale businesses for success. I know what it's like to fail. I know what it's like to look in that mirror and wonder, do you have what it takes? I know what it's like to question whether my light was meant to continue to shine or if I should let my light flicker and just fade away. I made my decision to let my entrepreneurial spirit become unstoppable, to let my light brighten not just the room, but my world. And I'm here to tell you that you can too. After speaking to over 1 million business owners from stages, consulting for hundreds of companies, building and selling dozens of my own companies, I know the voice of doubt screams super loud. Being an entrepreneur can seem like a curse of epic proportions at times. Why can't I just be normal? Why can't you just be happy with a normal job, they say? Why not just settle, they say? The siren song of retreat sings to our feelings of unworthiness and being undeserving. I've experienced life-changing encounters rescuing children from sex trafficking. One that will stay with me forever is the story of a 12-year-old little girl that we were searching for tirelessly. On the brink of giving up, we found her in the 11th hour, and her words to us changed my life forever. I can't believe all of this is for me, she said. It was in that moment that we made it clear to her she was worthy. Her rescue was worth every ounce of effort. And so are you. Your spirit knows you're worthy. Your spirit knows better than to believe the lies we're told by insecurity, failure, and fear. Entrepreneurship is not just about selling a product or making a profit. Those are the results, not the cause. Entrepreneurship is about solving problems. It's about seeing a need, meeting it, and lifting others as you rise. When David Schmidt founded Lifewave, it wasn't just about creating groundbreaking technology. It was about solving a problem. How to help people live healthier, more vibrant lives. The core of entrepreneurship to serve, to be the light that others can follow. But here's the thing about light, it spreads. And when you embrace your entrepreneurial spirit, when you believe in the mission, when you show up fully for yourself and for others, your light ignites theirs. It's contagious. And before you know it, you've created a ripple effect that changes lives forever. Now let's get personal. Maybe you've been told that you're not enough. Maybe you've doubted your ability to lead, to grow, to achieve. Let me remind you of something. You were born with everything you need to succeed. Everything. The only thing standing between you and the life of your dreams is your decision to act. And here's the beauty of the entrepreneurial spirit. It doesn't require you to be perfect. It only asks that you be willing to try, willing to fail, willing to get back up. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. Every time you fail, you learn. Every time you fall, you rise stronger. And every time you push past the limits of your comfort zone, you expand what's possible for yourself and for others. So here's the final truth. You're not in this alone. Community is the backbone of every great movement, and Lifewave is no exception. Look at the growth of Lifewave. These are your fellow torchbearers. Together, we are building something far greater than any one individual can achieve. We are a living testament to the power of unity, shared purpose, and the unyielding belief that the best is yet to come. As brand partners, we're not just ambassadors of innovation, we are catalysts for change. Together we can create a world where health, freedom, and opportunity are accessible to everyone, where no dream is too big, no obstacle too daunting. So let's circle back to where we began. The most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. So when you leave here today, carry that fire with you, stoke it, protect it, let it burn so brightly that others can't help but be drawn to your light. You're not just a brand partner, you are a beacon. You are the light that will ignite a movement of hope, health, and limitless potential around the world. So go out there, build your dreams, light up lives of everyone you touch. And remember, the world is waiting for your fire. Thank you very much. I'm Jason Cisneros, and let's go set the world ablaze.
Now let's turn our attention back to the incredible worldwide growth Lifewave has experienced in 2024 and the focused vision for continued expansion in 2025. Our next presenter heads up our European region and has boldly led Lifewave's growing presence from city to city and country to country. In 2024 alone, her experience and leadership supported year-over-year sales growth to an astonishing 75% increase. We're excited to now hear from Claudia Hartneck, Regional Vice President of Sales, Europe.
Hello, Lifewave all over the world. Let's kick off into 2025. But before I share news about what we're planning in this year, I want to reflect on the remarkable achievements of the EMEA region in 2024. Last year marked significant progress with an outstanding 80% growth that aligned perfectly with our 20th anniversary. This result reflects the hard work, the focus, and dedication of everyone involved. Last year, the energy across the region was unmatched. We organized approximately 40 events, a huge undertaking that connected and empowered so many of you. From roadshows in multiple countries and cities, to one-day forums, two-day power forums, and success days in Portugal, Germany, and Poland, our commitment to bringing value and inspiration to our network was clear. And the results speak for themselves. We celebrated numerous rank advancements across all of the region, including several new SPDs in Poland, South Africa, Romania, and Switzerland. These achievements represent the hard work and determination of brand partners and their teams who have worked tirelessly to achieve their goals. Each event, every milestone, and all these successes reflect the heart of what makes this community so special. Dedication, teamwork, and an unrelenting drive to succeed. Alongside the hard work, we also have the time to celebrate our achievements and create unforgettable memories. 2 fantastic incentive trips to Prague and magical Marrakesh in 2024 gave us the chance to connect, recharge, and enjoy the rewards of our efforts. And as we look ahead, I hope you're already imagining yourselves enjoying the next incentive trip, this time to Dubrovnik, Croatia, this upcoming May. I hope you're as excited as I am to experience what promises to be another unforgettable journey, with a prominent guest this time. Reminder that qualification for this trip is running until February 23rd. Looking ahead to 2025, we aim to build on the momentum of 2024. We are prepared to support yet another year of growth. This year will bring even more events across the region. We have counted 67 events so far, which is an increase of almost 70% in number of events. These are designed to support your success and provide tools and the environment to help you thrive. Whether it's roadshows, forums, power forums, or success days, we are ready to support continuous growth and connection. But in addition to the events, in 2025, we are also introducing several new initiatives to strengthen your business and simplify your journey. An enhanced onboarding program, which is designed to offer clear and concise information to help new members get started effectively. And we'll be moving away from monthly webinars to short training videos offering practical advice for building and sustaining a successful business that can be watched at your own convenience and pace and be used to build your teams. These projects, of course, are in addition to all the global projects that are being worked upon and are designed with you in mind, ensuring that every brand partner feels empowered and to achieve their goals and contribute to his personal success. As you can see, the EMEA sales team will be even more present and visible this year. We are committed to providing support, guidance, and resources to help you achieve your goals and reach your potential. Whether at the events, through training, or in one-on-one interactions, we are here to help drive your success, enabling growth and creating opportunities for our brand partners. So, as we embark on 2025, the focus is clear: building on the strong foundation of 2024, expanding our impact, and achieving even greater results. Each of you plays a vital role in this vision, and with our shared effort, the EMEA region is poised for another outstanding year. As we step into 2025, let this year be a reminder of the power each of us holds to bring light into the world. Let your light reflect in your actions. Be generous with your support, consistent in your efforts, and unwavering in your belief that together we can create something extraordinary. The ripple effect of even the smallest gestures of light can inspire change in ways we may never fully see, but will always be felt. Let this be the year we shine brighter than ever, not only for ourselves, but for everyone around us. Be the light that sparks growth, connection, and a future filled with possibility. Thank you for your hard work, your commitment, and your drive. Together, we will make 2025 a year of significant growth and success. Let's get started.
Now we're excited to learn from Dr. Caitlin Connor, who's been paramount in conducting the clinical studies and documenting the positive benefits people have experienced with our all-new X2O, light-infused water technology. Thank you, Dr. Connor, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Caitlin Connor, and I'm here today to talk to you about the first 4 studies we did on the X2O water technology. First, I want to say a special thank you to Lifewave and to the attendees of this conference. Starting with the first study we did, it was a randomized controlled sample of 20 individuals. They were made up of men and women aged 21 to 81, and the testing on each individual person took approximately 2 hours. The water for that study was treated for approximately 45 minutes. The 20 people were split into 2 groups. The first group got the energized water by itself, and the second group also got a magnesium-based commercial detoxification product, which was added into the water. For that particular study, we did a number of different tests. We did baseline measures and questionnaires. Those were actually done at consenting, which was done prior to the main testing. We did a urine sample where we were looking at amino acids, and we did weight with interstitial age. We also took near-infrared images, base temperature, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and we did drops of blood on slides that we looked at under a microscope. We also did point measures and a physiology suite, including HRV. The acupuncture results for that particular study, when you grouped both groups together, showed a significant change in DO14, DO20, and large intestine 4. It was particularly interesting on DO14 because there's very little change between the pre-testing and the baseline testing. The baseline testing we did at consent. And there was a significant drop at the post-testing. That particular point is a crossing point for pretty much all of the Yang meridians. So it's interesting that it decreased. It probably suggests that people relaxed as they went through the study. In contrast to that, DO20, which is on the top of the head, and large intestine 4, we saw a significant increase throughout the process. So when you split the 2 groups apart, you get slightly different results. We still see a significant change in DO14 and in DO20, but instead of large intestine 4, we see a significant change in spleen 6. You can see here that, again, we have that significant drop in DO14, but we see a somewhat different picture with DO20 because it has an arc instead of a clear upsweep. And spleen 6 also has an arc. So you can see that there are changes that are made by the addition of the magnesium detoxification product. We also saw very clear changes in the heart rate variability using the Thought Technology Biograph Infinity Physiology Suite. There were 18 of 20 cases where we saw the changes in the heart rate variability in under a minute from the start of ingestion of the energized water. The fastest response was actually within 10 seconds. The majority were within 30 to 45 seconds, and the last 2 people, the last 2 of the 20, we saw a change in under 2 minutes. So this is a very, very rapid response time. There was also a significant change in the blood volume pulse and the HRV response in Epoch 2. So epochs on that particular device are 1 minute long. It's a way of dividing up when you get a change. And there was a clear improvement in heart rate variability in all participants. The changes in that one were not different between the groups. In terms of vitals, temperature, oxygen saturation, pulse, and blood pressure, which we separated into systolic and dystolic. Those are the top number and the bottom number. We saw significance in the oxygen saturation. It improved or didn't change, which has actually been consistent throughout the studies. It's very good. And we saw the pulse rate shift. Again, we're probably seeing a relaxation. And the diastolic, the bottom number in the blood pressure, also dropped, suggesting, again, the relaxation effect. You can see on these graphs that the way that the groups cluster. So in the temperature, there's not a huge amount of shift in the baseline pre and post in group 1, and you get a little bit more of a broadening in group 2, and actually a narrowing in oxygen saturation in group 2. Systolic and diastolic blood pressure, you can see, are very similar throughout the process, though diastolic, again, you have this narrowing sweep. We also saw some significant amino acid changes. Those were in sarcosine, valine, histidine, B-alanine, leucine, 3-methylhistidine, proline, and I never get the pronunciation on this one right, kynurine. So we got significance in a number of different amino acids in under an hour. Because the full testing took 2 hours, half of that was the pre-testing, half of that was the post-testing. So from when people drank the water to when we did the amino acid test, the urine test, was 1 hour, which is a very rapid amount of time to see a change in amino acids. In water 2, we again looked at a randomized controlled sample of 20 individuals, and again it was men and women, aged 21 to 81. Testing again took approximately 2 hours, and the water was treated for approximately 45 minutes. However, for this study, one group had normal distilled water, and the second group had the energized water. For this study, we kept a number of the tests the same. We did questionnaires, which were different from the first study. We looked again at weight with interstitial age. We added a sit-stand test. We kept the base temperature, blood pressure, and oxygen saturation. The point measures, we actually added some things for the point measures. We added bioelectric magnetic measures, and we kept the near-infrared images and the physiology suite looking at HRV. In the HRV, again, we looked at HRV, EEG, which is it's a measure of heart rate, EMG, which is muscle tension, temperature, galvanic skin response, and blood volume pulse. And we saw significant changes in EKG. Again, that's that heart rate, EMG, the muscle tension, skin conductance, respiration, and what's particularly interesting in this case is there was a significant decrease in the control group, and the active group actually stayed the same. And I don't know entirely what's going on with that, but that's not normally what you would expect. You wouldn't expect the control group to drop significantly. So that was very interesting. We also saw a significant change in body age as measured by the interstitial resistance, specifically in the active group. You can see on this table here. And again, looking at the acupuncture points, we saw a significant change in spleen 3 and liver 3. Now, this was looking at the AcuGraph. So we were using a different method of testing the acupuncture points than we had in the first test. The first study, we looked just using a data logging multimeter. In the second study, we did a comparison. We used the AcuGraph, the data logging multimeter, and a Excel 2 pointer, which also measures a variety of different things. So it was very interesting looking at the difference in the different methods in the results that we got. We also saw a significant change on the right side, the stomach 42 point. Looking at the data logging multimeter, we saw a significant change in DO20 again, pericardium 6, kidney 1, and onmion. And pericardium 6 is interesting because that's specifically in the control group. Again, we're probably seeing a relaxation effect as people were enjoying participating in the research study. I hope they enjoyed participating in the research study. On this next slide, you can see some of the significant data. So you can see the body age, how that's shifting. You can see the liver 3, spleen 3, and the stomach 42 points. And we have the control group pre and post first, followed by the active group pre and post. So you can get a clear idea of how each of them shifted. Here we have DO20, pericardium 6, kidney 1, and onmion from the data logging multimeter. And again, you can see Pericardium 6 for the active group stayed very, very consistent, and there was a clear shift in the control group. In contrast to that, kidney 1 in the active group has a very clear change, as does Onmion. Using the BioWell, there were significant changes in intestine, spine, brain and nervous system, immune system, hormones, lungs, kidney, liver, and urogenital, which frankly covers most of the body between them.
We're now privileged to learn more about the synergy of our new wellness technology and product offering from David Schmidt, founder, CEO, and inventor of Lifewave's patented technology, in a conversation with Global Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Wayne Moorhead.
Well, I'm honored to be here with our founder and chairman of the board, David Schmidt, and I get to steal a few minutes and talk about some really fun and exciting things with him. So David, thank you so much for being here.
Really exciting, Wayne. Really looking forward to our conversation today. And we're going to be providing our brand partners with some incredible information about our products and about our science.
Absolutely. It's the part that they always love, that they just devour all the science and technology, all the great information that you provide. And that's really where I want to start. Innovation is really at the heart of your work. It's at the heart of Lifewave. And it's been integral in propelling Lifewave to becoming one of the fastest growing companies in the world. And so again, I feel a little jealous that I get to be the one sitting here, digging in on some of the great technology and product information with you. But before we go too deep into the product, I'd love to take a little bit of a step back and have you talk a little bit about the role and the importance that stem cells play in our overall health and wellness.
So back in the late 2000s, I was starting to think about where is society going to be 10 years into the future. So we can always be looking at staying ahead of the curve and trying to predict how we can be developing new technology that's going to be useful. And it was very evident then that stem cells were the way of the future in medicine and in general health. So we began a decades-long discovery process of looking at how could we create a stem cell technology that would be very different than what other researchers were looking at. So to answer your question, stem cells are the basic cells that everything else comes from. So the liver tissue, kidney tissue, lung tissue, heart, doesn't matter. It all starts as a stem cell and then goes through a process of differentiation. So you may start with a pluripotent stem cell, divides into a multipotent stem cell, and then a liver cell, or whatever may be the case. So an important thing to know is that stem cells naturally occur in the human body. We can't live without them, and stem cells age like the rest of the body. And by the time people reach age 75 or so, the stem cells can no longer divide, and whatever you have in your body is what you're left with. So this is a really bad thing because when people get injured into their 70s and 80s, they start to lose their capacity to heal and recover. So it's why when people are in their 70s, they get a broken bone. It may never heal correctly because of the loss of stem cell activity. So I started with a very basic proposition. And instead of injecting stem cells into the body, which is extremely expensive and you can't do it daily and it has risks associated with it, could we create a technology that was safe, affordable, and effective that everyone could have access to that would improve the way the stem cells that are already in our body behave? So essentially, take the old stem cells and convert them over into younger, healthier cells.
So that was essentially the catalyst for the development of the light therapy, the phototherapy products, or the phototherapy technology that found their way into X39 and the other patches.
Well, the phototherapy part of it started in the late 90s, early 2000s, as I was trying to create the energy patches, which were the first product. So, and that, of course, came out of prior experience where I was developing survival equipment for the U.S. Navy through government contractors. So the idea with that was, could we have a way of elevating fat burning in our cells using light? And of course, we developed many clinical studies to substantiate that the energy patches were doing that. But later on, I initially did not think we could use phototherapy to accomplish the goal of stem cell mobilization. And in fact, we have over 70 patents on multiple methods of inducing activity of stem cells in the body. Most of them have to do with novel electromagnetic fields, and we had many clinical studies that were very successful. But fortunately, our laboratory results showed that you could use phototherapy, and X39 came as a result.
And can you talk a little bit about how it is kind of that core flagship product, really the tip of the spear for much of the rest of the product portfolio?
When I started Lifewave, the goal was to have a company that would have lifestyle products. And that was, our humble beginnings, and we did extremely well. But then through research, I was able to find ways to use the technology to elevate production of specific antioxidants. And then we entered into the second generation of Lifewave by releasing glutathione, carnosine, and eon. And that trio has very powerful longevity effects. So for example, with glutathione, that is a very good marker for how long a person will live. Lifespan is directly correlated to the body's glutathione levels. Carnosine is interesting because it preserves telomere function and telomere length. And studies with mammals have shown that lifespan increases about 30 to 40%. And of course, those are the long-term benefits, but short-term benefits, what we found through our studies was that it improves cognition, improves the speed of processing in the brain, improves the metabolism. We see that overall health and wellness. We even have studies showing that it improves athletic performance. So strength, stamina, body composition, all improve through the use of X39. So for many people, using that one single product is going to cover pretty much everything that they want to do, although adding our other patches certainly has benefits.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a theme, I think, for all of the products and all of the technology is this additive effect. And I know we're going to talk more about that, but being 4 months in here, but knowing many people that had been on the product for years, I'm blown away at the testimonials from people who take all of the patches, but X39 is the one I know I can't live without. That's the one that I have to do every day and then kind of add others from there. But talk to me a little bit about the point, or talk to us about the point where you realize that you could take this technology and extend it into other products as well, that it wasn't just about, staying with the patches and keeping a limited portfolio, but that you were open to seeing that be applied in other categories and other products.
So when we look at not only human biology, but we look at the biology of all living things on the planet, there is an incredible dynamic that occurs between the physical and the energetic. And this is, I'm not being metaphysical here. Sure. This is a scientific comment in the sense that if we examine living cells, we see that there are proteins like collagen that make up the cytoskeleton that hold water in the cell and that the organelles attach to. There is a phospholipid layer in the membrane that maintains the integrity of the cells. And then you have electrolytes, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, that help to maintain the electrical charge around the cell. So you need to have these physical elements that will make up living matter. But as a consequence, you get electrical fields, magnetic fields, you get sound that propagates through these cells, of course, light, a form of electromagnetism. So this is to say that the energetic systems of the body are in harmony with the physical composition. So if we can understand that basic point, then that means that if we have our diet in place, we get proper nutrition, proper hydration, proper rest, that we're creating an environment so that the energetic properties of the cell can thrive. It also means that when we're looking at the cells, exactly how are cells living, how are they communicating, and doing what they're supposed to do, making energy, helping to support the body's overall health. What has been found, at least since the 1960s by Dr. Becker, is that the electrical systems of the body control the biochemistry. And so this is the beauty of working with light. When we get right down to the heart of it, Dr. Fritz Popp discovered that if we take any living cells, human cells, plant cells, animal, put them in a room that's completely dark, we see emissions of light called biophotons coming out of the cells, and the light is coming from the DNA. So what this means is that our DNA releases highly coherent pulses of light that initiate many thousands of different chemical reactions, biochemical reactions within the cell. So if we can understand this, that this means that we can stimulate the skin with light with the patches to elevate peptides like GHKCU, or now we can discover other tech like our water machine where we embed biophotons into the water so that we drink the water, the light is released, and it can initiate rejuvenative effects in the body. And so the basic concept with Lifewave is that we want to heal the body with light, and that could mean stimulating the surface of the skin with light, or it could mean taking light directly into the body. And that's what's so exciting about this new direction of where we're going.
Absolutely. The applications are so broad-reaching, and the impact so incredible. And to that point about extending that technology into new products, I'm very excited that we get to talk about a product that's launching here very quickly. Early March we'll be launching. There's an opportunity to get it with the promotion a little bit ahead, but the Cellergize Morning Formula.
Yes.
And I'm excited to learn more about this product from you, and I know we all are as well. So it is such a unique formula. Do you mind taking us through some of those key ingredients and what the impact and benefits are?
Sure. Let's go ahead and do it. For many years, I've been making recommendations on different nutritional supplements that people could take that would support their overall health and well-being. And of course, because we didn't sell certain supplements, I could use freedom of speech to make these recommendations. And also remind people I'm not a medical doctor, so that myself and the company are not providing any type of medical advice. But one of the themes that kept coming up was that because of people's diets today, they might often be lacking certain nutrients to optimize the effectiveness of the patches. So for example, many people choose to have a vegan and a vegetarian lifestyle, which is totally great. But we would say it is extremely challenging for those individuals to get certain nutrients. So for example, beta-alanine, which is the basis for AHKCU and carnosine, principally we would see beta-alanine in red meat, or we might see creatine in red meat. There is also cysteine. Cysteine is the backbone of glutathione. So it's a limiting factor. You don't get enough cysteine in your diet, you're not going to be able to make as much glutathione. And we find cysteine in dairy products, it's in whey protein, we find it in eggs. So vegans and vegetarians are at a significant disadvantage. So the idea behind this was that we would create a single formula so that no matter what patch you're using, this one formula would have all the nutrients that you would need to optimize the functioning of the patches. So I think it's worth mentioning that that's the overarching mission statement of why we wanted to come out with this formula.
Yeah, that's really important. Well, the formula is so unique from any other product that's out there. Can you dig in a little bit on some of the specific ingredients in that formula, why they're unique, and the impact that it has on that collective formula.
Sure, absolutely. Let's go through that. First, let's take a look at the overall formula for Celergi's morning formulation. And there is a lot of nutrients that are in the formula to match up with all of the patches. So it's extremely comprehensive. The first one that we should probably discuss is Cyanothox. And Cyanothox is an extract of sea buckthorn. And the reason why we included this was not because it's necessary for the functioning of the patches, but because this one specific nutrient had very good research to show that it would improve the stem cell activity in the body. And when we're looking at claims, one of the things that our brand partners kept coming back with is, how can we make the stem cell claim? Because that's what people are interested in. So how do we get through regulatory? So we worked with scientists, doctors, lawyers to say, okay, well, let's take a look at a whole different spectrum of nutrients. Which one is going to give us very good protection so we can make stem cell claims? And sea buckthorn extract, Cyanothox, kept coming back. And as we began to look at the literature on it, we got excited and say, this is going to be a phenomenal complement to our patches. So that's why we included Cyanothox. I think next thing, this is going to be a little bit of a surprise, but one of the nutrients that we included was vitamin C. And of course, it's extremely common, but interestingly, of course, vitamin C is a very good antioxidant, and it's been used therapeutically in much higher doses to help save people's lives. And so we wanted to make it as a base ingredient in the formula. It helps to support overall stress reduction within the cell. Vitamin C is interesting in that it can turn on collagen production, can be used to stimulate formation of new cartilage, helps to preserve glutathione levels in the body, and there's very good science to show that vitamin C as an antioxidant helps to support the health and vitality of the stem cells. So for that reason, we included vitamin C.
Yeah, very powerful ingredient.
Now, niacin is an interesting ingredient. We included a low dose of niacin. And the reason is that when we look at the mitochondrial function in the body, we look at the electron transport chain, and we look at, let's say in this case, the Krebs cycle. One of the key nutrients that people are interested in today is NAD. And NAD is being shown that there's a strong link between longevity, youth renewal, and levels of NAD in the body. And as people age, the levels of NAD decline. So there's been an interest in supplementing with NAD. Typically, the way this happens is people take a supplement of NMN or NR. However, the FDA has been looking to take NMN and NR off the market and label them as drugs, which is really terrible because they should be classified as nutrients. But something exciting has come up through the literature to show that niacin, common B vitamin, is actually a better precursor to formation of NAD in the body than NMN or NR. So the bottom line is that by supplementing with niacin, we support levels of NAD, we support youth and vitality, and we protect the integrity and health of the stem cells in the body. So that was the reason for including niacin. The next nutrient we would look at would be magnesium, and in this case, magnesium citrate. Now, over 60% of the general population has a magnesium deficiency, and magnesium participates in at least 300 different biochemical reactions in the body. So everyone should really be taking a magnesium supplement. And in this particular case, we decided to use magnesium in both our daytime and our nighttime formula. Typically, dosing of magnesium can range anywhere from 100 to 400 milligrams daily. depending on the individual. They should see a doctor about that. But fortunately, there was research showing that not only would magnesium support what are called mesenchymal stem cells. I know some of our U.S. viewers are going to they're going to object to me pronouncing that way, but we did our research in Ireland, and that's the way they pronounce MSC stem cells.
I'm going to take your word for it. You're the expert. So.
Yeah, so I know I get criticized for that, but that's a little bit of an Irish accent on my part.
Gotcha.
But anyway, magnesium has been shown to improve the activity of the MSC stem cells in the body. And as an example, what are these stem cells? They release a growth factor called VEGF, and VEGF is involved in, let's say, supporting the cardiovascular health of our body. It's a vascular growth factor. So having enough magnesium is very important to stem cell activity. Also, one of the things that our patches does is it improves the flow of energy through the body. And magnesium as an electrolyte is necessary to support the flow of bioelectrical current through the body. So again, another important reason as to why we should be taking magnesium.
Any other highlights on the ingredient list?
Oh, there's quite a few more.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the next one I think we would talk about would be zinc, and we included both copper and zinc in the formula. The reason to include copper is that copper is necessary for the formation of GHKCU, as it's a copper binding peptide, and in X49, AHKCU. When you take copper, you should also take zinc. The two of them work hand in hand. And so for that reason, because zinc both supports the activity of stem cells in the body and that it works hand in hand with copper, we included both copper and zinc.
Great.
Selenium is a micronutrient, and research on selenium has been around for many decades. It's important that we don't take too much selenium because that can have adverse effects on the body. For men, one of the benefits of selenium is that it can help to support testosterone levels in the body. Paired with zinc, it can act as a natural aphrodisiac. So selenium, also as an antioxidant, is critical in the formation of glutathione. Now, the next nutrient that we included in this formula is potassium. And similar to magnesium, almost the entire population is said to have a potassium deficiency. And potassium, of course, is an electrolyte. It's necessary for the flow of energy in the body. And in this particular case, all of the patches depend upon potassium content to conduct electrical signaling. So for that reason, we included potassium. Potassium has a number of other amazing benefits. It can help support the cardiovascular system. So for these reasons, we included potassium.
That's great. What's another key ingredient that you included in the formula?
So we had prior experience in developing nutritional supplements, and one of those ingredients was fiber, and specifically soluble fiber. And from the point of view of consuming this product, we found that by adding FiberSol, it would improve the body of the drink and make it more pleasurable to drink. So from just the point of view of experience, adding fiber would be really good. However, fiber, and specifically soluble fiber, is going to act as a prebiotic and support the probiotics in the body. So it's a good way of improving the flora of the gut. In addition, most people today, especially Americans, don't get enough fiber in their diet, so this is a good source of fiber.
Absolutely, and such an important part of that whole technology platform that is really the thread through all of these products. Any other highlights in the formula?
A super important one.
Okay, great.
Super important one. So in developing the water machine technology, where we're looking at longevity mechanisms, there is a positive and negative feedback loop in the electron transport chain, and this involves glutathione and nitric oxide. So essentially, glutathione and nitric oxide are necessary for energy production. And when glutathione levels begin to fall off, the energy metabolism of the cell will suffer as a consequence. So we need glutathione to suppress and control oxidative stress. And if it's not there, then we're going to experience mitochondrial dysfunction. On the opposite side, we need to feed oxygen and oxygen radicals into the cell, but mostly, let's say, oxygen, to support cellular respiration so we can convert food over into cellular energy. And one of the things that's necessary is nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide has huge benefits. I'll appeal to men again, and nitric oxide is strongly linked to the cardiovascular health. So most men are going to want to supplement with some type of ingredient to boost nitric oxide, and L-citrulline is a good choice. Now, a surprise nutrient, I think, that we included was creatine. And creatine has been known now for, let's say, at least 20 years as a nutrient that's used in bodybuilding for athletes, muscle building. And it helps to mediate energy production in the cells. It helps to volumize muscle tissue to allow improvements in strength and stamina. And this is how it's been known. I'd actually recommend that people that are not athletes use creatine to help support their muscle mass because of sarcopenia. Most people are going to lose up to 50% of their muscle mass by the time they reach age 70. And by supplementing with natural ingredients like creatine and doing, of course, resistance training, you can get the most out of the patches and also support strength and stamina, as well as the stem cell activity in the body.
I've heard more and more about it, it seems recently in the media, about how it has shifted from kind of the fitness or bodybuilding crowd to more of the average person and the important role that it plays in our overall health and wellness.
Yeah, I think as now research has shifted away from athletics and looking at things like the role of creatine in cognition, in stem cell activity, more will be learned, and 10 years from now we'll probably know 100 times as much about creatine as we know today. But I think suffice it to say, there's enough known to justify the statement that we should be supplementing with creatine daily. A really important ingredient that we included in this formula is beta-alanine. I was mentioning earlier that people that are choosing to be vegans or vegetarians are going to be deficient with beta-alanine if they don't supplement. Beta-alanine has phenomenal health benefits, principally because it is a precursor to carnosine and AHKCU. So we included this nutrient so that people that are using the carnosine patch and are using X49 can be assured that they're getting beta-alanine in their diet, and they'll get the best results with those patches.
Amazing. Again, how it always ties back, to the patches and help supporting the other products, those synergistic effects of the entire product portfolio.
Absolutely.
So what other elements to this incredible formula? It seems like it's a list of riches in this formula.
Yeah, a really important one. Again, thinking about our community where so many people are vegans or vegetarians, we included N-acetylcysteine. So N-acetylcysteine is an amino acid. It's been around since the 1960s. And again, it's necessary for the formation of glutathione and NAC. So for people that are using X39, you want to get the optimum results.
So even on its own, this formula is innovative, incredibly powerful, but yet you didn't stop here. So there's also a companion formula to Cellergize Morning. And I'm curious, talk a little bit about the needs from morning to evening and how our nutritional needs shift and how these products eventually, as we launched, the evening formula later in the year. Can you talk a little bit about how they'll work together?
Yeah, we took a different philosophy on the evening formula. So when I was looking at the daytime formula, the mission was let's put this together so all the nutrients that we're going to include allow for the proper function of the patches as well as supporting stem cell activity in the body. We'll use the water as the delivery system, and the water machine, the patches, the nutrients, they all fit together. So what do we do then with an evening formula? And the general philosophy was, well, now let's take the opportunity to support rest, relaxation, proper sleep, and do it in a way that will be different than the first formula in that the nutrients aren't designed to necessarily be necessary for each of the patches, but to complement their activity. So what's an example of this? Let's say that someone is using Silent Nights to improve the quality of the sleep. And we know that Silent Nights supports melatonin levels in the body. Well, we didn't want to put melatonin in the evening formula. That wouldn't really make sense. So instead, we looked at nutrients like taurine. Because most people are going to be looking at their phones, their computers, their iPads, they're getting exposed to blue light. And this is going to interfere with the quality of their sleep. Also, we have very hectic lives today. And the nervous system needs to get into a more calm state in order for us to sleep. So a nutrient like taurine, while it will not put someone to sleep, what it will do is relax the nervous system and prepare the body for sleep. We see that taurine declines with age. And in men, what's interesting is that studies show that if you start supplementing with taurine before the age of 40, your testosterone levels never decline with age. So there's something really powerful that's going on with taurine. It's found in the brain, found in the heart, and it's found in the testes in men. So I'm certain that over time, more evidence is going to show that taurine is absolutely necessary for longevity. So in other words, we include it in the formula so people can get the short-term benefits of improving the quality of the sleep, but also having long-term benefits.
So there is those needs that are different throughout the day, and the cell-energized morning and eventually the evening formula will be able to take care of that for us in addition to the patches and the other products.
Absolutely. You know, the philosophy here is that if we can provide people with a good night's sleep into a state of relaxation naturally without drugs, so we can optimize this.
I'm so excited for the cell-energized formulas. I can't wait till March to get the cell-energized morning and start on that formula. If someone was asking you kind of where do I start? You know, how do these products work together? Is there a sequence or a protocol that you feel works best? Is it start with X39? What advice would you give somebody?
My advice would be to speak with the leaders that are out in the field that are having crazy success and they know what they're doing. And, you know, I would want to thank Steve and Gina Merritt, amazing people. Just amazing. I love their hearts. They're incredible people. They want to legitimately help humanity, make this world a better place. They're incredible business people and human beings. And certainly what they and other leaders have found is you focus on X39. It's the flagship product. It's simple. Put it behind the neck, below the belly button, on your point of concern. It's going to work. It's the ideal way of introducing people to Lifewave. It's affordable. It works. We have the clinical studies to validate it. People then get in the door. They look at the other products that we have, and then they can benefit them. But from the point of view of starting, because X39 is so powerful and covers so many things that people are concerned about, they're going to have a great experience with Lifewave right from the beginning.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, it is the go-to for me. It's the foundational product, and I kind of build and add from there. So I've been fortunate to get a tiny peek into some of the 7-year product roadmap that you've mentioned, and it is truly inspiring. And I just want to thank you for keeping us on the cutting edge of health and wellness, for looking that far out, for being able to see around the corners and helping to make a brighter future for all of us. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Wayne. It's been a pleasure.
Welcome to the science of synergy, going beyond simple supplements, a combination of natural nutrition and cutting-edge technology to boost cellular wellness. Offering a dynamic blend of essential nutrients, minerals, and amino acids specifically formulated to support healthy stem cell activity, aid the health and vitality of human cells, and support your overall health and wellness. Specially formulated to work synergistically with Lifewave's patented patch technology. Cellergize morning. Start strong. Power on. Be the light. Lifewave.
What's better than hearing from Dr. Caitlin Connor on the amazing benefits people are experiencing with the new X2O light-infused water technology? Hearing from her twice. Back with more of her incredible findings, please welcome back Dr. Caitlin Connor to the virtual stage.
Moving on to the third water study we did, we again looked at a randomized control sample of 20 individuals, but here we shifted the age. We were still looking at men and women, but we shifted the age to 40 to 90. Testing again took approximately 2 hours. The water was treated for approximately 45 minutes. Group 2 had no additives to the energized water. Group 1 had citrulline and sulforaphane added. Citrulline was added into the water, sulforaphane was in a tablet that they took at the beginning of the study. Now, this particular study was double-blind, which meant that everyone was given a tablet at the beginning of the study. The people who were in the no supplement added group got a cellulose tablet instead of the sulforaphane. For that particular study, again, we kept some of the same tests and we added some new ones in. We kept the weight with interstitial age, we kept the base temp, blood pressure, and oxygen saturation. We added glucose. We kept the bioelectric magnetic measures. We added the biopulsar. We added a Doppler perfusion imager, and we kept the near infrared image and the physiology suite HRV. The physiology suite, again, we saw a significant change in EKG in both groups. That's the heart rate variability. And in group A, the supplement group, we also saw a significant change in the skin conductance. And in the no supplement group, we saw a significant change in temperature and respiration. We saw, again, the oxygen saturation improving significantly, which is always a good thing to see, and in both groups by about the same amount. So it's always nice when you don't have people breathing more shallowly throughout the research study. We saw a significant change in weight. You may notice that the weight goes up. It actually went up the same amount in both groups because we had both groups drinking the same amount of water, and water has mass. So both groups went up in weight by the amount of the weight of the water. BMI, interestingly enough, is not the same between the two groups, and I have no explanation for that either. We did see a significant change in BMI, but not to the same level, which is interesting because BMI is effectively a math calculation of your height and your weight. And the weight should have shifted by the same amount and the height shouldn't have shifted at all. kcal, we also got a significant change in the amount of calories burned changed. So that's interesting. Hold on to that one because that'll come back when we get to glucose. And again, body age is doing some interesting things. We did see a shift, not to significance, but we did see a shift in the group A. Again, weight changed by the same amount because we were having them drink the same amount of water. And here, BMI has shifted less. I can't explain that. kcal hasn't moved to the same degree. And body age, here we're seeing a significant shift. On this next slide, you can see the shift in the oxygen percentage. So we have, again, we have A pre and post together and B pre and post together. So you're seeing in combination how they both move. And you can see both of them went up quite nicely. The weight, you can see, shifted the same amount. And BMI was actually slightly different between the two groups, despite being randomized, which can happen, but didn't shift quite the same way. kcal, you can see you have a difference, again, in terms of how it's moving, and body age is a very, very clear difference between the two groups. Looking at the biopulsar, we saw significant changes in nose, hormone system, immune system, intestines, joints, urinary system, stomach, and lung. Again, that just covers most of the body. And BioWell, we again saw brain, spine, coronary vascular system, intestines, urinary system, hormone system, immune, and face. Just everything. Water Study 4 was a different design. It was a double-blind crossover design. Now, what that means is you have people coming in for 2 visits. One of the visits, they were drinking the active water. One of the visits, they weren't. And it was randomized which of them they were doing first. And because it was double-blind, they didn't know, and neither did we. We had one person on the team whose only job was doing the water, and they'd hand the people who were taking the data the cup, and the people taking the data had no idea whether it had been energized or not. This was a randomized control sample of 50 individuals, so it was a little bit bigger. And again, we were looking at men and women aged 40 to 90. Testing again took approximately 2 hours, and the water was treated for approximately 45 minutes. Group 1 had the energized water first, while Group 2 had the energized water second. We again did the amino acid urine test, the weight with interstitial age, the base temp, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and the glucose, and we added a carbon dioxide measure. We did the dark field microscopy, the slides with the drop of blood under a microscope again. We did the BioWell, the biopulsar, the Doppler perfusion imager, and the HRV again. For the physiology test, again, we got a significant change in skin conductance in EKG. That's the heart rate variability in temperature and in the respiration rate. And we saw BMI change significantly less in the active group, which again is very interesting because we saw the weight again change by the same amount in both groups because they're drinking the same amount of water. Water has mass. So the fact that the BMI changed differently in both groups is very interesting given, again, it's a math calculation. It's height by weight. They should have changed the same amount. And this is a very, very significant number. It's 3.258 continuing E negative 10, which means that you move the decimal place over 10 points. It's a lot of zeros. P-values, you want to see a lower number if at all possible. The p-value shows how likely something is to have happened randomly. So the less likely it is that it was random, the more likely it is that it was caused by what the intervention was, in this case, the energized water. So 10 zeros is a lot of zeros. Muscle percentage also went up in the active group, P equals 0.008. Diastolic blood pressure decreased significantly in the active group, P equals 0.04. So in general, statistical significance is considered anything less than 0.05. Just keep that in mind. Oxygen saturation increased significantly in the active group, P equals 0.04, and glucose significantly decreased in the active group, 0.03. And glucose was actually kind of funny. It was enough of a visible shift that the people taking the data, the research team, actually started guessing which group people were in based on the glucose shifts. So it was fairly visible on the monitor. We also saw 12 significant amino acid changes and 3 that were near significant. The amino acids we saw change were cysteine, methionine, alpha-aminobutyric acid, tyrosine, phenylalanine, hydroxyproline, and oxoproline, as well as serine, arginine, alanine, citrulline, glutamine, cystathionine, adenyl homocysteine. Between the different studies where we were looking at acupuncture points, the DO channel was particularly reactive in both studies. DO14 showed a significant decrease in both when analyzed with the groups combined and in the water-only group in study 1, while DO20 showed a significant difference in both when analyzed with the groups combined and in the supplement added group. It also showed a significant change when measured by the data logging multimeter in water 2. It did not show that in the AccuGraph. So there's some interesting differences in the method of testing. We were using the data logging multimeter in water 1, so it makes some sense that that would be consistent. The physiology suite, again, we did through all of the different studies, and all of the studies showed a significant improvement in EKG in the energized water groups. That's the heart rate variability. And all of the studies showed a significant change in skin conductance in the energized water groups as well. Supplement effects varied by supplement, which makes sense because the effect of the supplement is going to depend on which supplement you are using. It suggests in this case that the energized water provides a very good base, and you can tune exactly what it's doing by the supplements that you add or potentially don't add. In terms of vitals, we saw oxygen saturation either not change or increase in any of the energized water groups. We saw diastolic blood pressure decrease significantly in 2 of the studies in the energized water groups. And we saw kcal and glucose changes, which suggests that there may be metabolic changes, especially in combination with the amino acid changes. In the BioWell, looking across all of the studies, we saw changes in the spine, the brain/nervous system, the intestines, the hormone system, the immune system, and the urinary system. Some fairly important systems for how your body works. So it looks like drinking this water improves energy production and energy flow in the body. And the changes in the body show up almost immediately after consuming. Again, we saw changes in all cases under 2 minutes, and in most cases under 45 seconds. There are measurable improvements in the way that the body metabolizes specific amino acids, and this could lead to improvements in peptide and protein synthesis. We specifically saw in the amino acid changes that there were 3 amino acids that shifted that have direct links to DNA. So the potential implications there are very interesting. And while the changes in amino acids were not identical between water 1 and water 4, we did get 3 that were exactly the same, and we got a number of other amino acids that are in the same chain. So amino acids don't stay static when they're in the body. They get used and they get turned into other things. There are a whole bunch of different processes going on. So it looks like it's activating specific pathways, and the exact amino acid we get a significant shift on may depend on when we're hitting that specific pathway. Some of the data also suggests an anti-aging effect and improved metabolic function. The effects are systemic, not localized, which was very clear with the BioWell and the BioPulsar results. We will perform long-term studies once the machines are available to validate the anti-aging benefits. We have continued doing research on this particular technology after the 4 studies that I've talked about here, though they're not quite ready to be presented yet, and we will continue to do that. Thank you.
Is everyone having a great time so far? Are we all ready to hit the ground running in 2025? To help us take action in 2025 and leverage so many of the wonderful resources available, we're excited to welcome Meredith Burkich back to the stage.
Our commitment to innovation and well-being continues to set Lifewave apart. And today, I am thrilled to share some very special news with you. As we prepare to launch our groundbreaking light-infused water technology right here in the United States later this year, X2O is more than a product. It's a revolution, a new way to elevate healthy living, and it is destined to redefine how we engage with one of Earth's most valuable resources, water. To celebrate this upcoming milestone, we extended an exclusive challenge to our senior presidential directors at conference. This chance was an opportunity to be one of the first 30 people to receive a complimentary X2O. This promotion wasn't just about rewarding success. It was about recognizing leadership, vision, and the dedication that makes our community so remarkable. I am so proud to announce the winners of this incredible incentive. These exceptional leaders will be among the very first to own a piece of Lifewave history and experience firsthand the innovation that will soon captivate the world. Congratulations to each of you. Your hard work and dedication have truly set the standard for others to follow. Well, what an honor, what an absolute blessing to be invited to be a part of David Schmidt's legacy. Thank you, Lifewave community, for all you've contributed to helping us change so many lives over these past 20 years. You know, I've made my career in direct selling, 10 years as an entrepreneur like you, building and growing a team, and 20 years on the corporate side, helping companies to drive growth by focusing on the brand partner experience. In working with the best direct selling leadership in the world, I can tell you firsthand that I know we have the best of the best here at Lifewave. And that means you. Now, we've shared some inspiring look back since our 20th anniversary celebration. But 2025 is about looking ahead, seeing the future through our founders' eyes. At a time when some direct selling companies are considering their next step, we are establishing Lifewave as the greatest legacy of our time. We have all the necessary components to achieve lasting, life-changing greatness. First, we have visionary leadership, people, both on the corporate side and the entrepreneurial side of the business. Lifewave is the #1 fastest growing direct selling company in the world right now for good reason, because of you, and we intend to stay that way. Because again, everything it takes to maintain our growth trajectory is right here in our hands. We have an innovative product, and we are continuing to develop more innovative products, like our flagship X39, which cannot and will not be duplicated. And we are continuing to build scalable infrastructure, putting the processes into place. And that means that our growth will be limitless. And we are powered by technology. And this will keep us relevant, ongoing relevance, and a competitive edge as we move forward into the next decade. And we are continuing to grow teams of like-minded individuals who are all passionate and committed to excellence. And we are dedicated to your success. There are people like our elite senior presidential directors, our senior presidential directors, and all ranks of directors and managers, people like you who are looking to lead the way by example. And we are so thankful for you applying your highest and best to this enterprise. Because direct selling is a leadership model, after all, and our success is dependent upon each other. Your success is our success ultimately. And so it is our responsibility as Lifewave leadership to uphold the highest integrity And as a member of the community responsible for the next 20 years, we are positioning ourselves to accomplish your greatest aspirations and to give you that undergirding, that foundation. And you are in a position to help others achieve their goals and their aspirations. And so on behalf of Lifewave and myself personally as your president, you have our steadfast promise that we will devote our highest and best to this enterprise each and every day. And we will remain unwavering in our long-term commitment to the channel of direct selling and to your personal legacy for decades to come. And that you can count on. You can count on us to honor you and your efforts with the deepest appreciation and the utmost care. So wrapping up 20 years of Lifewave history, it's now time to move into 2025 and shape the future for the next 20 years. And that means having the right people on the bus, in the right seats on the bus, and the wrong people off the bus. Hypergrowth is not for everyone. Over the past 2 years, we have added dozens of leaders to the corporate team globally. And likewise, many of you have added hundreds, maybe even thousands of influencers to your organization, whether they be macro, micro, or nano. It is all about the people that we're adding to our teams. And at HQ, we've been adding to ours while establishing ongoing processes to prepare for the next wave of growth. And that's what 2025 is all about, preparing for the next wave of growth. And so for you out there doing the business, sharing and caring each and every day, as you look around you, you will notice that the global teams who are continuing to break all records, those who are making a difference and really moving the needle, there's one thing that they all have in common. They are applying streamlined success systems to their business. First, they're leading with the flagship product, leading with X39. Secondly, they are implementing a team sales system. And thirdly, they are duplicating that system without ceasing, because they are clearly demonstrating through their success that duplication is the key in any and all organizations, which is why we're focusing this year in 2025 at corporate on our programs and our systems. As we look at the top talent and the top management that's coming on board, people like Wayne Moorhead, who you got to hear from earlier, who is an incredible visionary and an extraordinary creator, you're going to see so many new faces this year that are helping to identify what it is that we need to do to be better and to undergird your success with a firm foundation. And today, you got to meet our newest talent acquisition. And the list of people for every single open role that we are getting to choose from is unbelievable. In my 2 decades on the corporate side, I can tell you, unbelievable. The luxury that that affords us is the ability to select only the best of the candidates. Those who are dedicated to hard work, and they are prepared to work punishing hours. We are in momentum. We don't have the luxury of complacency at Lifewave. They need to be able to endure. They need to be performance-driven. And they need to be obsessed with excellence and continuous improvement. Because to put it bluntly, collaboratively, there is too much at stake right now for us not to be devoted to our highest and best being brought to the table. One of the things that you're going to see in 2025 is talking about duplication, but about process. It's going to be process, process, process. And if you think about that, process is just like a system. It's defined, it's knowable, and it's duplicable. And because at Lifewave we are in hypergrowth, it can be very, very easy to let those processes slip. Just trying to keep up with the growth is sometimes enough. And so that is why we've been approved to bring in an outside agency. And they are starting in the month of January to help us this year to identify all of the areas of our business, all of our processes, all of the areas where we need to define and we need to streamline and we need to build something that's more efficient, because at the end of the year, we are seeking to become ISO 9001 certified. Now, you've heard me talk about that SPDs, I know, on the SPD webinars, but here are the benefits of that. By having all of these processes in place, it helps us to be streamlined. It helps us to establish more tools for the future. It helps us to be able to set you up to win. And we have a lot going on because we know that we have many, many areas of which we can improve in 2025. And so setting up that system for tools from the moment that you come on board, what is it that you point to, what videos, where do they live in your back office, all of the things that we need to streamline. And most importantly, we are going to be establishing a recognition program, a system to where we can standardize the recognition of your achievements. We're going to be utilizing this year the Global HQ and Welcome Center. You know how many millions of dollars have been invested into this opportunity to give you a place where you can bring your prospects, your new team members, your rising stars, to actually experience David Schmidt's vision firsthand. That vision that is going to take us into 1 billion homes and beyond. Now, of course, one of the big areas of focus this year, as many of you know, is the compensation side of the business. And we know in talking about compensation, this can be really intimidating for some people. A lot of people just choose to avoid it altogether. Knowing it, understanding it, presenting it, and certainly as it's being upgraded, getting your head around the changes. But I want you to kind of step back from compensation plan and think about it like any other product. It has features. It has benefits. It's important that you know what those are. It has life-changing power. It solves individual challenges for people. And I can tell you, as a student of comp plans for decades, I have seen it all. I have seen the good, I have seen the bad, and I have seen the ugly. And as we put together and prepare to roll out the compensation plan enhancements this summer, understand that we have gone into this very intelligently, well over a year, and even beyond that, prior years, just this foundation for the compensation plan. It has to be intelligent, and it is intelligent. It needs to be data-driven, and it needs to be an evolution, because the compensation plan of Lifewave that worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, is not the compensation plan that we need for today. The business has dramatically changed. The other factor for a successful compensation plan is, of course, the field leadership collaboration. And that has been taking place over really the last 3 years, even before I got here, by people that are actively driving the growth. And so what we're looking towards, and again, we're not going to be talking about that in depth today. It's not coming until summer. But we are establishing a solid education, tour, empowerment, and transition plan so that we can flawlessly execute the changes that are coming. And they will be undergirded, most importantly, by process. And the people will be empowered who will be managing that process. So in just a few minutes to spend on the compensation plan project, the mission of this is to implement an evolving, innovative compensation plan that richly rewards sustainable business building activities. It will reward engagement, and it will reward, most importantly, performance. And the impact that you are going to see is that this will give you an opportunity to retain your talent, to minimize cap application, and to reward active brand partners sooner. The critical truth of compensation plan design is that if a compensation plan does not drive sustainable behavior, it's really pretty worthless. And so in the area of retention, it's very, very good to note, and this is where it's going to have an incredible impact on your business. We are in a revolving door business. 70% of direct sellers are out of the business within their first 90 days. That is a fact. And so as you think about this and you think about what's coming, ask yourself this question. If you could increase retention in your organization by just 5%, maybe even just 3%, 2%, and keep them 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 months longer instead of only those first 90 days, can you imagine what that is going to do to your volume? Can you imagine how that is going to change your organization? The second primary objective of the comp plan is we pay up to 60% at Lifewave of the GV every week. Now, 5 years ago, the cap that many of you are familiar with wasn't an issue. We rarely hit it, maybe during a PIB month, a special promotion. But now we're beginning to hit it more and more. Why? Because we are in hypergrowth. We are rewarding people that perhaps have been inactive, haven't been engaged in the business for years. And this is called binary creep, which is why binaries require recalibration every 2 to 3 years to keep up with the changing and evolving nature of the business. And by recalibrating and creating more wealth opportunity for business builders, more people will make more money sooner and be rewarded for their business building efforts. And these are the primary objectives of the compensation plan design. And there are many, many nuggets that you're going to be super excited about when the time comes later this year and we start going on our educational tour. So finally, in closing, whether you're on the corporate side or you're on the field performance side, remember this. There is no difference in our success strategy. I'm a president. You're the president of your own organization. The key is that we all need to decide. Decide what you want to accomplish at Lifewave and be obsessed. Don't ever apologize for being obsessed with the business. Take action, secondly, and identify those tasks that are going to get you to your goals, because these are people's lives that are hanging in the balance of our efforts. We need to be tireless, and we need to be relentless in our pursuit of excellence. And finally, measure your success along the way and be prepared to level set and be open to coaching from your upline, coaching from your peers, maybe even coaching sometime from your downline. We all need to be willing to embrace change, not tolerate change, but embrace change. And most importantly, never, never, never give up on your vision. We know that quitters never win and winners never quit. We are paving the way, shaping the future for your unprecedented success. Lifewave is rising up. Lifewave is on the move. Lifewave is setting the stage for the next 20 years. And we need you to decide to be an overcomer, to be dauntless, and to be all in. We hope you'll make that decision today, to be the light and share the light. Let's bring hope to countless of people who are searching right now for a better way. Thank you.
One thing is very clear as we head into 2025. The use of social media is growing exponentially, cementing itself as a critical resource for spreading information. It seems more important than ever to have a proficient presence in this increasingly social world of digital connection. Today, we're excited to hear from Sam Hind as she shares with us how to maximize social media and grow your personal brand. Please help me welcome from the land down under, Sam Hind.
Hey there, Lifewave. My name is Sam Hind, and I am so honored and privileged to be joining you for Vision 2025. Today, I am joining you from Tasmania, Australia. It is summer here. I don't know where you are in the world right now, but I am blessed that I can come and be a part of this incredible event with all of you and join you from possibly the other side of the globe. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all about how to grow your amazing businesses using social media. More to the point, I want to just start with a little disclaimer here. This training is not for people who are highly experienced, although if you are, you're going to get something out of this for sure. But I want to speak to all of you here, whether you are brand new to social media, whether you've been using it for a little while and not getting results, or whether me just saying the word social media might be just giving you a little bit of anxiety right now. I'm going to show you some strategies to help you grow your amazing businesses. But these aren't strategies that are designed for people who are highly experienced, who are already getting results on social media. These are strategies that anyone can implement, most importantly, people in this industry. I am so passionate about serving an industry that changes lives every single day. I'm going to tell you why in a few moments. But what I want you to know is that you're in the right place right now. You're investing in yourself by being at this event. And I'm going to help you come away from this with something that you can absolutely implement to get amazing results in your business. What I'm excited to share with you today is going to help you to generate leads and sales in a way that feels congruent and comfortable for you, that works for you, and most importantly, doesn't require you being tech savvy, having huge amounts of experience, and most importantly, you don't need huge followings as well on social media to be gaining amazing results fairly quickly as well. Now, I also want to talk to you guys today a little bit about what holds us back from social media success, because I think we need to identify and address the things that might have been getting in our way. And one of the great things is that my husband, Greg, and I, we've worked in this industry now, serving the way that we are for almost 10 years. But I've got a background in this industry that goes back a very, very long time. What I do want you to know is this. Most of the people, hundreds of thousands of them that we've had the opportunity to work with just over the last few years alone, experience most of the same struggles and challenges. Highly likely struggles and challenges that I suspect you have also been experiencing. But what I really want to drill home today is this. The secret to social media success is about connecting and communicating over broadcasting. What I mean by that is it's as simple as this. We need to start putting the social back into social media. So many of us are showing up on social media thinking that in order to sell, we have to sell. And the opposite is actually true. I hope that when you leave this session today, you walk away going, wow, I actually feel like I can do this. Most importantly, I feel like this is something that's going to get me results, and it's not going to require me pushing myself way out of my comfort zone in order to get them. So just really quickly, I want to also introduce myself to you guys, because I know most of you I probably haven't had the opportunity and the privilege of meeting just yet. So how did I end up here speaking to hundreds of thousands of people in the direct selling and network marketing industry all over the globe? Well, it all started at the age of 14 years old. I'm not going to go too much into the story because we don't have lots of time today, but it's a pretty cool story. I grew up in a small country town in South Australia alone with my dad, who was an entrepreneur and a businessman. My dad, however, was always struggling financially. And there came a point when I was about 14 years old that I felt the need to step in and help earn some income for our household. And so at that age, I wasn't legally employable, but there was an industry that welcomed me with open arms. This one, the one that you're in today. This industry doesn't judge. It doesn't care about your background, how much knowledge you have. It's about your willingness to participate, to be part of the family, and to give it a go that determines the outcome that you get. By the time I was 16, through the training provided to me, I was one of the top 10 consultants in Australia in the company that I was with. By the time I turned 18 years old, my dad and my mum had moved me into a full-time career. They'd pushed me to the big smoke, the city, and they told me to go and get myself a job. And so I got moved out of the industry, which at the time I was very sad about because I really, really loved everything that I was doing. One of the things I love so much about the direct selling industry is that it's not about growing businesses in order to grow income. It's about growing people to grow dreams. And that's what you guys get to do every day. And Lifewave is supporting you to do that. I moved up to the city and I got myself a career in sales and marketing, where I was privileged to work with one of the biggest print marketing companies in Australia for almost 11 years. Over that time, the digital change happened, and I ended up traveling the world learning from the world's best about how to transition marketing from old school print media to online social media. A very different world. We're going from one-to-one to one-to-many back to one-to-one again. In other words, social media, the trick to this became about how to build relationship in a very different environment. And unfortunately, most businesses were showing up on social media broadcasting, which doesn't work. Here's my product, here's my service, buy from me or book with me. In other words, here's what I have and here's what I want you to do for me. That style of marketing on social media simply doesn't work anymore. I ended up 9 years ago starting a business where I began teaching everything that I'd learned. But I wanted to come back and serve the industry that had changed my life. And so here I am. And this is what I get to do every single day. So it's my honor and privilege to join all of you today. But I will also mention one other thing, and that is I get what it's like to also be a parent in business. I know for most of you, you're juggling possibly work as well as this amazing business that you have with family, maybe marriage or partnership, and many other things in between. I get what that's like. I also have a beautiful family. I don't just have 4 kids. I now have 5. Our newest addition, Adeline, has just turned 1. And of course, my amazing husband, Greg, who's in this business with me. And we get to travel the world doing what we do. Also, I provide a number of awesome resources, even if I do say so myself, that are completely free to help continue growing you guys. And I would love to draw your attention to our podcast, which of course featured the amazing Meredith and David fairly recently as well. So if you want to check that out, make sure that you do. So let's dive on in. I want to talk to you about a few things very quickly. And the first thing I want to mention is what a 2mm shift is. I know that for many of you, you're at this event and you're taking notes, copious maybe amounts of notes if you're anything like me. And I want to just quickly speak into something here. I'm not about knowledge. And the reason I'm not about knowledge is because knowledge isn't power. It's only potential power. It's not until that knowledge gets implemented that it starts to have an impact. And I want to see you actually get change and growth in your business. So I want to challenge you with something today. As you just saw up on the screen, I had a picture of a notepad with 1, 2, 3 written on it. I'd like you to jot down the numbers 1, 2, and 3 on your piece of paper in front of you. And as I'm going through some things today, sure, take down all of those notes, but I don't want those notes to turn into what I call shelf help, which is where you take all these notes and then you close that book after the session and you put it on the bookshelf and you think to yourself, on Monday, I'm going to pull that back out. I'm going to start implementing all the amazing things I learned. We all know that we don't do that. That notebook gathers dust and it becomes what I like to call shelf help. It doesn't actually do anything. So here's the thing. It's not about big shifts that make the difference. It's about the little things that we do. And so I'd love for you to write down 1, 2, or 3 things that you commit to me and the rest of the Lifewave family today to implement in your business in the next 24 to 48 hours that you learn from this session. These things don't have to be big. Like I said, it's about the 2mm shift. What I mean by the 2mm shift is making change in your business on social media is not about big changes once or twice. It's about tiny changes repetitively. And so if you're a golfer, you know what I mean when I say that if you are teeing off and you slightly change your body angle or you change your grip on that club or you move the direction that the club is facing by 2mm, you know that when that ball lands at the other end, it hasn't moved by 2mm, it's moved by miles. And that's a little bit like how this works and what I'm going to show you today. Now, I also want to talk to you really quickly about 4 fears that hold us back, because I mentioned before that many of you are experiencing the same things, and it's important you acknowledge what's been getting in your way so that you can overcome those things and keep moving forward. Now, we have worked, like I said, with hundreds of thousands of people all over the globe. And in working with those people, we hear the same 4 challenges coming up again and again and again. Now, as I go through these, you might recognize yourself in at least one of them, possibly even all of them. But what I want you to know is you're not alone. The first one is this. Maybe the reason that you have been holding back from social media is because you've been afraid of pestering and hounding family and friends. This one comes into play when we've got the assumption that everything we put out there is going to be seen by everyone we're connected with, and it just isn't the case. I'll tell you why very shortly. But this also happens when we think that the only way we can be successful on social media to grow our business is to actively sell. And again, couldn't be further from the truth. The most powerful thing you could do is to sell without selling. And I'll show you some strategies to help you with that today. In addition to this, I know a lot of people feel like social media is like wasting time and getting no results. It can be a big waste of time. That's totally true. And I'll explain why again, very, very shortly. So it's also about being productive. I don't want you spending more time on social media. I want you spending limited time, but getting maximum results. Another reason that a lot of people aren't experiencing success is because of this one here. And this was a really big one for me, but that was the fear of failure. What if I get it wrong and so I don't even start? Or comparison, watching other people out there that are getting it done, that are getting results. You might have seen people on social media that are doing very, very well. And you're thinking to yourself, I can't be like that. I don't look like that. I don't show up on camera like that. I don't know how to take photos like that or do reels or stories. And you start to think to yourself, either I need to be more like them and less like me if I want to be successful, or maybe I just shouldn't do anything at all. And you stop. The last one, certainly not the least, is probably the biggest one that gets in people's way, and it is completely understandable because it's overwhelm. Social media is constantly changing. There's so much to learn and so many different strategies yelled at us every single day. All you need to do is go to Facebook to be inundated with people telling you what you're doing wrong or what you need to buy or what you need to do better. What's right, what's wrong, and where do I even start? And it leaves most people not starting at all. Again, totally understandable. So let's talk a little bit about social media in 2025. And I want to start with a statement that I hear on a daily basis, and that is Facebook doesn't work anymore. And guess what? It's completely true. Did I really just say that? Yes, but the thing is, it's true if you're doing any of the following. Here's the reason Facebook doesn't work anymore. And if you're doing these things, you're definitely not going to be getting results. The first I've already alluded to is broadcasting and selling. This is because we have been trained in old school marketing. Here's my product, here's my business, and here's what I want you to do for me. Here's my opportunity, book with me, buy from me, join me. That doesn't work because it's not social, it's not interactive, and it's not relational. Next up, posting links is out. I'm not going to dive any more into this just yet because I'm going to explain this one very shortly, but this definitely will hinder your progress. Overposting. There's a lot of assumptions out there that if I just post more, I'll get seen by more people and I'll get better results. Again, not how it works. Also, advertising. I think I reckon I would get somebody contacting me every single week asking me how I can teach them or if I can teach them how to run Facebook or Instagram ads. And when I ask them why, they'll say, because I'm not getting results for free. Clearly, these are now paid platforms. I have to pay for the privilege of getting results. Well, I'm going to let you in on a secret today. You can pay Facebook or Instagram to show your posts to more people, but you cannot pay people to click on those posts. So if you are thinking that running ads, aside from the fact that they may very well not be compliant with the company or even with social media or direct selling policies, if you're paying to get your posts out there, it's highly likely you're simply paying for the privilege of the same unsuccessful results. Next up, uninvited connects and reach outs. I don't ever think these were in. And of course, using personal profiles to actively sell and promote your business and your products, definitely out. Now, does that mean that you can't use your personal profile to grow your Lifewave business? No way. Your personal profile is a great place to grow your business, but there's a right way to do it. And I see a lot of people using their personal profiles in not only the wrong way, but in a completely inappropriate and in many cases, non-compliant way that breaches community standards on the platforms. So does this mean that Facebook doesn't work anymore and maybe we need to look at the shiny new objects over here? Not at all. Facebook has recently recorded and reported its most successful year to date, and they keep doing this year on year, quarter on quarter. They keep growing to the point where their latest statistics show that they have more than 3 billion people estimated to be using at least one Meta app. This includes Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp on a daily basis. Think about that for a little moment. That is a lot of people you've got access to. But the challenge is cutting through that noise. Facebook itself is estimated to be getting 2.1 billion daily users. They've got a quarter of the world's population, just to put that into context, using their platform every single day. Of course, 3 billion monthly users, and we're finding people are starting to use the platform for many other things as well, from Messenger and connecting with family and friends where they used to pick the phone up, to things like accessing their news. So what is it that we need to understand about this platform in order to get the results we want to get? Well, it comes down to the algorithm. And I want to explain the algorithm to you in simple terms that you can understand. For many of you, you're probably hearing me mention this word and you're like, oh my goodness, she's just getting technical on me now. Don't let me lose you here. I want to explain this so you understand not only what's going on in the background of the platform, but also how you can use this to your advantage to get better results. So what is the algorithm? Well, I want to take you on a little history lesson for a moment, if that's okay. I want to take you back to 2009 when Facebook was operating with only personal profiles, back before business pages even existed. They hit a bit of a roadblock where Facebook recognized that the platform was beginning to lose its users in droves. Why? Because the content that was appearing on Facebook began to be highly business orientated. Businesses had cottoned onto the fact that they had a captive audience on this platform, and they began selling and promoting their products and services at every opportunity. Now, back then, your feed, when you looked at it, was in chronological order. So you saw everything in the order in which it was posted, meaning when a business that you were following or a personal profile that you were following, because business pages didn't exist yet, started promoting products and services, you were seeing every single one of those posts. So Facebook recognized that if it was going to keep its platform going and it wasn't going to end up like another MySpace, if you remember that one, they were going to need to adapt and become smarter. And so they implemented two things in order to do this. The first was business pages to segment the content from personal to business. But the second thing they brought into play was a program that operated in the background of Facebook called the algorithm. Facebook started a trend. Now, I will say that while I'm going to talk to you about what this algorithm is, you need to understand that every social media platform and many other programs and websites you use now also use their own algorithms to do the same thing. From Google to YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, and now, of course, Facebook. So what is an algorithm? Well, the algorithm was simply a program that operated in the background of Facebook that was designed to learn everything there was to know about you and me. And it did this with the intention to keep you on the platform for longer and more frequently. So it learned things like what websites you went to, who you were friends with, what sort of conversations you had with those friends, what your interests were, what your dislikes were, what sort of family life you had, even things like how many kids you had, what car you drove, and your household income. It uses all of this information to deliver you only the content it knows you want to see, with the intention of keeping you on the platform for longer and more frequently. So to put this into very simple terms, your Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube feeds are all customized to you like a fingerprint. There are no two the same, and it is designed for you and you alone, with the intention of getting you on the platform for longer and more frequently. So it goes without saying that this is why it can be such a rabbit warren and a distraction when you go to manage your accounts, because you get sucked into the content you're looking at. So why am I bringing this up? Well, as you're creating content to grow your business, you need to understand this. Every post you put out there is getting analyzed and assessed, filtered, if you like, by this algorithm that's deciding exactly who to show it to, where, and when. Now, here's the thing. We can choose to work with it, or if we don't, we're simply working against it. So what is the algorithm actually looking for? Well, if we can get to know this and we can give it more of this, it's going to start showing our content to more people, right? Absolutely. So what's it looking for right now in 2025? Well, there's several things you need to be aware of. First, it's looking for conversational content. You might have seen a recent announcement from Mark Zuckerberg that they want to foster free speech on their platform. One of the things that Facebook and all of its platforms, which includes Instagram and WhatsApp, are looking to improve on is conversational content and free speech. This means that they're going to favor posts that get this backwards and forwards happening. Now, this isn't a new thing, but we need to be working, like I said, with it. So when you create content posts that get people talking, it doesn't mean being controversial. It just means fostering backwards and forwards conversation. So this goes back to what I said before, less broadcasting, more socializing. If you can put a post out there that gets conversation going under the post, you're on the money. Next up is real, relatable, and human content. Meta platforms are also prioritizing stories, relatable content that in a time when people are asking the question with AI, what is actually real? If you've been looking at content, you might be looking at things going, that can't possibly be real. And usually when you're thinking that, it's true, but it also leaves people wondering, what can I trust anymore? So when we see something that's less than perfect, when we see something that we know someone took a photograph of themselves, that's not staged, that's not perfectly professional in every way, those non-stock images, the photos you take yourself, the videos you record yourself on your mobile phone are going to be so much more successful than the perfect edited stuff that we think or have thought we needed to produce. This also brings me to user-generated content, which means unique content created by you is what the platforms are looking for. Not shared content, not stock images, not professional photos or videos, not edited content of any sort, the things that you create. This should be great news because it means that the content that you come up with, regardless of what your skill or experience is probably going to be the most successful content of all. And consistency here is key. The platforms want you to be showing up frequently. And last but not least is sharing versus selling. This should be great news because it means that you don't need to be hounding and hassling family and friends. And I'm going to show you some examples of this shortly. But the secret here is showing up with your story, your journey, your experience. Because I've got another secret to share with you. What if I told you, because we all know that people buy from those they like, know, and trust, that it's not the Lifewave products that they're purchasing. It's not the Lifewave business that they're connecting with initially, or at least to start with. It's you. You're the key. Like I said, people buy from those they like, know, and trust. So if we can build that trust and build that relationship on social media, people will buy from you, not because the products are incredible, and of course they are. They'll buy from you because they want what you have. They connect with the stories you share. And they think if it worked for you, it'll work for me. If that's what the journey looked like for you, that's what the journey is going to look like for me. And that's what people want to buy in for. Now, another thing I do want to point out as we go into some strategies, and I definitely want to share some awesome strategies with you guys today that you can take away from this and implement. But I will also say that at the end of this session, I have a very special surprise for you all. Now, let's just talk first about usage behavior because there have been some more changes of recent times that are going to impact what you need to be doing to move forward. One thing I want you to acknowledge or understand is that the way users are using Facebook and Instagram has shifted a lot in the last 18 to 24 months for a number of reasons. And I'll go through those. But what you need to understand is this. People are doing a lot less sharing directly through their profiles and a lot more what we call dark sharing. Dark sharing isn't as sinister as it sounds, but it can be a little frustrating. The key here is to understand that just because people aren't interacting doesn't mean they're not watching. What's a dark share? Well, a dark share, and we've all done it, is when we see a piece of content we like, but rather than sharing it to our main profile or page, we send it directly in Messenger to the person that we want to send it to or that we think of when we see that piece of content. This is happening a huge amount more than it's ever happened before. And it's called a dark share because it's not tracked and measured, not in the same way that your other content is. Recently, I released a podcast episode on scams, and it was fascinating because this particular podcast episode I knew was highly controversial, and I knew it got, I'm going to say possibly hundreds of shares, but I know at least dozens of shares because of what I talked about in there. But my feed only showed a very small handful of shares that ever happened. However, the video got massive amounts of views. Why? Because people saw the piece of content and thought, I don't want to share it with everyone. I want to share it very specifically with the people that this relates to. And so that doesn't get reported back to me in insights. Another thing that's shifted is the way people are using their profiles and their pages. You know, like I said, just because people aren't interacting doesn't mean they're not watching. Well, I tested this theory recently because I love to test stuff and I won't just simply take it on face value. But I noticed that this phenomenon was happening where there was a very big difference between the way people were responding to real content, which is short form video, versus standard posts. You might have also noticed this, so I did a test. I put a little video up and I put it up at exactly the same time on the same location, but I did one as a real post and one as a normal post. The reel, you'll notice, and there was a point in time about 24 hours after I put this up, that the reel had double the amount of plays to the post, but you can see in the numbers here that the post had double the amount of comments. In other words, the way that people are interacting with their content now has shifted. People are doing a lot more passive viewing. So know that just because people aren't interacting doesn't mean they're not watching. This, however, is not bad news because incredible results are still completely possible. A strategy that we teach inside of many of our trainings, we did this last June with our member base, and this is a lead generation strategy. This particular strategy, I taught them in 2 minutes. I taught it to these guys. I'm going to show you guys something really cool at the end of today. So hang in there because I want to be able to teach this to you too. But we taught them this strategy in 2 minutes. It took no pre-prep. And this particular strategy generated for us within 48 hours over 280 qualified leads overnight. Now you might be thinking, well, that's fine. That's what you get when you've got a following, right? Well, not necessarily. Because we then had over 300 people report back to us after they'd implemented this same strategy straight away, results from 5 to even in some cases hundreds of leads overnight. So this absolutely can be done and it doesn't cost a cent. You too, no matter what your experience level, can build a highly converting audience that like, knows, and trusts you. And most importantly, that you love to serve. But here's the secret. There's no one way. Many of you have probably had somebody stand up in front of you and tell you, do what I do and you'll get success. It worked for me, it'll work for you. Here's the one way. Well, the reason it doesn't work is because each and every one of you needs to create your own recipe. Why? Because you have a unique personality. You have unique values and interests and passions. You have a unique business, but you also have a unique target audience. We don't all have the same dream customer at the other end. We have to identify who that is. So while there's many recipes though, there's one formula. And I want to talk to you about that formula today because a formula is a little bit like baking a cake. We all know that there are loads of different cake recipes out there, right? But there's a formula to making a cake recipe work. You need a binding component, a flour component, a flavoring component, and maybe a sweetening component in order for that cake to come out looking like a cake at the other end. But we also need to think about the ingredients we're going to use in that recipe. Now, the ingredients can differ dramatically. The formula, however, needs to stay pretty well the same. So you could use different sweetening components or different flour components or different flavoring components to come out with something very different. This means that the content you create could be very different to the next person's, and you could get an amazing result just like they do. But you need to consider several things. First of all, what method are you going to use? You don't want to be implementing strategies and methods that are far outside of your skill level. Many of you are listening to this at all sorts of different levels of skill. You might have tried doing a reel before, or maybe you've never set a Facebook profile up previously. Maybe you don't even really know what Instagram is or how it differs to Facebook. That doesn't mean you can be any less successful. You just want to start with where you're at. And this is why when someone stands in front of you and says, here's the one way, do what I'm doing, you need to do reels, you need to do stories, you need to do live video, may not work for you because it may not be where you're at just yet. I want to just quickly tell you a story. Over the last 8-9 years, we have been teaching by keynote speaking all over the globe. But when COVID happened, we had to come back to doing things online. And of course, we were contacted by thousands of people who were in panic mode because these people, up until that point, many of them had chosen not to embrace social media at all to grow their business. And I remember being contacted by one person in particular. Her name was Jill, and Jill was in her late 80s. She had never had a Facebook profile before, and she had been in her direct selling business for over 25 years. Now, Jill was in panic mode because while she could just hang up her hat and retire, she didn't want to. She loved her business, and she recognized that if she was going to continue growing through the COVID season, she was going to need to embrace social media and get online. Here was the amazing thing. We got to teach Jill and show her everything that she needed to know in order to be successful. But she didn't have any technical skill or ability. Let me tell you, she was starting completely from scratch. Within weeks, she went absolutely viral. Do you know why? Because she hadn't been watching everybody else on social media because she'd never had an account before. Therefore, she had no preconceived ideas of how she had to show up to be successful. Instead, she was 100% herself and everyone loved it. She is now one of the top consultants in the company. She's in her 90s now. She is still going, and she is teaching social media formulas to other people now who also want to see the same success. But they all come back to one thing: how to be more yourself and less like everybody else, because that's what makes you unique. So the thing is, you've got to learn what method you need to be going forward with. If you're making a cake, for the very first time, you're not going to start with a bomb Alaska. You're probably going to start with a basic sponge cake, and we'll build up to that bomb Alaska a little later on. We also need to be thinking about who it is that we're serving our content to. What do they care about? And how are we going to get their attention? And here's the key to the whole thing. When you are making a recipe for the first time, you need to be willing to adjust it once you've served it up. Because let's face it, we're probably not going to get it right the first time. So when you hand that cake over to your target audience and they say, oh, it's a little bit too sweet, you're not going to remove the sweetening component, but you might adjust what type of sweetener you use or how much you've used. So here's the key. If you haven't already guessed it, you need to know exactly who you're talking to. Why? Because the algorithm knows everything about its users. Therefore, it's looking for content they want to see. If you've stopped and asked yourself, what does this content need to look like? I'm going to deliver more of that. Then it's going to do the hard work for you. And this is the key. Now, I've said to you before, people buy from those they like, know, and trust. Well, I also want to tell you another little secret, a little update that a lot of people are not aware of. In Q3 of 2024, Facebook reported some results from the content that had gone out over that last quarter to all of us to help us do a better job at what we're doing. Here's what it told us. What makes up your feed on Facebook and Instagram right now? Something very interesting has changed in the last 2 years. You might have noticed it. In the last couple of years, there's been a dramatic shift in the way you're being delivered content. What I mean by that is the content we used to receive was content from people we were friends with, pages we followed, or groups we were members of. Well, that's all shifted. Almost 2 years ago now, Mark Zuckerberg made the statement that he was going to reward people for creating quality content by sharing it to people they were not yet connected with. What does this mean? Well, it means that now, as of today, up to 32% of every piece of content you see on Facebook and Instagram comes from an unconnected source. You might have noticed this and asked yourself, why am I seeing so much content I've never seen before from people I don't know? Because Facebook is assuming you might be interested in this content. If you are, you might follow that person. So here's the key. There's an opportunity right now for you to reach more people that you've never connected with before. So we've got an opportunity to grow our businesses without spending a cent, simply by creating quality content they want to see. So what's one of the things we can do to create better quality content? Well, another of the statistics they gave us was this. 97% of views of content in Q3 of 2024 did not include a link outside of Facebook. So if you've been sharing lots of posts that include links, I can tell you right now, you will not have been as successful as you could have been without. Why? Because the platform doesn't want people to leave its platform. If you post a link to YouTube or a website outside of Facebook, you're taking people away. And that goes against what that algorithm is standing for. So does that mean you can't post links? No, there are lots of ways that you can post links, but we definitely want to be a lot more strategic about how we do it. So that begs the question, what sort of content is actually getting results right now? Well, just before I go into these pieces of content, I want to tell you, I do have an exciting announcement of something special I want to share with you in just a moment. But these next few pieces of content can be easily applied to any of your businesses in ways that are real and relatable for you. So the first one is this, and that is nostalgia. We saw a massive trend in nostalgic content getting huge amounts of views and interaction. Nostalgia, which is any flashback or any post that creates community and connection, does something we call creating commonality. It makes us feel like we belong, like we're part of a club. Something as simple as sharing something that you have in common with your audience is really powerful, like a remember this or tell me about the time that. This can be done very quickly and very simply. The next one is real, relatable, and entertaining. Now, I want you to see this video here. This one got over 57 million views. Now, if you look at this, you can probably see, like I did, the very first thing that stood out to me was this wasn't an edited, perfect video. Any one of us could have made this or could still make a video just like this and put it up. It's not that it's perfect. In fact, the fact that it's not perfect, but it's real and we can all connect with it is what makes it so great. We have done so many fun things like this recently where we've literally set the camera up and hit go, done absolutely no editing at all, done it on our mobile phone and got incredible results. And I'd love to share some of those strategies with you very shortly. Last but not least is how to and value-driven content. recipes, how-tos, things that make people feel like, number one, you're providing them value, not selling to them. In other words, selling without selling is one of the best possible things you can do. Now, I mentioned earlier as well that I wanted to talk to you about compliant versus non-compliant content. And I know that this can be a really difficult topic, the good old C word. We've heard about compliance so much in this industry, and we're used to hearing what we can't do. But I want to talk about this briefly because there's a few important factors we have to keep in mind. With Lifewave, you are dealing with products that are incredible and possibly have done some amazing things for you personally. But we also have to respect that there are compliant rules that we have to follow both on social media platforms, in the industry, and within your company. And they're all about protecting you and protecting the brand. The other thing that you've got to keep in mind is this. People will not remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. So I mentioned earlier that sometimes less is more. Most of the time, less is more. And I've seen a lot of examples where top leaders who are outperforming everybody else are doing it without ever mentioning much about their products at all. The reason they're outperforming everybody else is because they're sharing their journey and how they personally use the products without making claims and statements that feel like they're selling. Remember I said earlier that selling without selling is one of the more successful ways to show up on social media. Well, let me share with you a couple of strategies I've put together to help you with this. I wanted to actually create some of my own examples, but I want to just share a quick disclaimer here as you have a look at these. That disclaimer is this. In each region, you have been given approved statements you can make or claims you can make by Lifewave. Please make sure that you have read this compliant information before progressing with sharing any statements. But I want to show you the difference between compliant versus non-compliant, but also I want to share with you the difference between sharing content that has oodles of information and content that leaves people wondering, what is that? I'm curious. Let me see a little more. Wouldn't you rather someone reach out to you and say, hey, can you tell me a bit more about that? Or can you help me? I'm curious. Could that help me too? They're more likely to do that if they haven't felt like you've rammed the business and the products down their throat. So sharing something like this post you see up on the screen here, ready to conquer my day and be the best I can be today, where I've simply shared a picture that doesn't say anything much more than that. Think of the building and stacking effect that happens when they see several different posts over a course of days or weeks that don't tell them much, but enough that have them wanting to know more. I love this statement, know what they want and then almost give it to them. When you get to know what matters to your audience, little posts that share something like this, that are just you sharing a little bit of your journey, that create that curiosity is really powerful. Last but not least, this little example I've got here is actually an unboxing example that I'm going to give you guys access to later. I'll tell you how in just a little moment. But this particular example is one that is very powerful to bring the sensory component in to the content that you're creating. And it creates massive curiosity and intrigue. But looking at these pictures again, if you were to watch one of these videos, which one would you be more likely to watch? The one where I'm clearly selling to you and I'm making income claims that are not compliant, or the one where I didn't actually say much at all, but I built massive curiosity and intrigue and I made you feel like you were coming behind the scenes with me, like a friend. So let's talk to you a little bit about how we can help you eliminate overwhelm, get maximum productivity in your business, earn more stress less, and most importantly, have fun. Well, I've got something very exciting to share with you. I've dangled the carrot and now I want to tell you what it is. As I mentioned, there are loads of different things that we can do, but I want to help you to build your recipe on social media. Sound good? I want to show you how you can create a recipe that gets you results targeting your dream customer. So I want to introduce you to a very exclusive, very exciting opportunity to join us for the 10-day Done For You social media post challenge exclusive to Lifewave brand partners. This is an amazing opportunity where myself and our whole team are going to come alongside you and hold your hand for 10 days. And we're going to give you 10 different strategies, from lead generation strategies to engagement posts and much, much more. Even reels and stories. We're going to take you through walkthroughs and show you how to build your personal social media recipe. So we're going to share with you over 10 days, 10 different posting strategies that will generate leads and convert sales in less time. So why join us for the challenge? Well, lots of reasons to join us. First of all, you're going to get those 10 days. You're also going to implement those 10 strategies, and we're going to help you do that along the way. There'll be live trainings and Q&As, as well as step-by-step walkthroughs. We're going to teach you stories, reels, and the ultimate page and profile layout. Plus, we're going to share more of what you can do to be compliant online. And Best part is it's completely free and exclusive for Lifewave brand partners. Now, I also shouldn't forget to mention, there are going to be oodles, like thousands of dollars worth of prizes given away to anyone that participates. These are literally just for participating. So we're going to have so much fun over these 10 days together. So how do you get registered? Well, you can either scan the QR code up on the screen here right now, or you can type in this link, go.oxano.global/Lifewave, and get yourself registered. Pop in your email, and we cannot wait to see you there. Like I said, this is Lifewave exclusive, so we want to see as many of you participating as possible. There is so much to gain, and you can only lose by not taking part in this challenge. As I said, this is completely free for Lifewave brand partners only. We're going to be working exclusively with you over these 10 days and having a blast doing it. You're going to come out the other end with heaps of strategies up your sleeve, and you will have implemented and tested them, including those lead generation strategies and the unboxing examples I spoke to you about earlier. So here's the thing I want to leave you with today, and very important, possibly the most important. You do not have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. So thank you so much for having me at your incredible event. I want to remind you to be the light. You have everything that you need right now to master this business, to have an incredible 2025. And I am super excited to be walking alongside you to do that. So thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to see you in the 10-day Done For You Lifewave social media post challenge. We'll see you there.
Are you ready to celebrate? Our CEO,
Happy anniversary, everybody.
Celebration 20 years in the making, packed into one epic weekend. A personal journey, powered by revolutionary technology. More energy. Timeless vitality. Lasting longevity. Now is the time to share the light.
Come on up, directors. Congratulations.
Thank you for coming to the Lifewave Global Conference. It was lit. We're already dreaming about next year. California dreaming.
Lifewave Global Conference, Anaheim, California, Fall 2025. Registration is now open. Be the light. Lifewave.
To close out Vision 2025, I just want to take a moment to thank you for your incredible efforts. This virtual event will be available to rewatch through the end of February. So if you missed or want to rewatch your favorite segments, you may do so on your own time. Your commitment to healthier living in all aspects of your life is the true catalyst of Lifewave's unmatched success. I love being able to work with so many of you, and I look forward to all the remarkable things we will accomplish together in 2025. See you at the Global Conference in California in October.
Your Lifewave visionaries have been assembled
And we're going to make this world a better place.
to lead us into the future.
welcome to the light, everyone.
Continued global expansion.
Let's do this.
Record-setting growth. With our sights set on $1 billion and beyond.
We can make a difference, we can be a symbol of hope, and we can be there for people in need.
that light is in our DNA. It is who we are as people.
We are growing faster than everybody else because we have a high-performing team.
We look forward to 2025 and the next 20 years to partnering with you.
And it's all about raising the standard, raising the bar.
Lifewave, we work hard and play hard.
This is you. It is your hard work.
And it's because of the efforts and everything that you are doing every single day that's making a difference and changing people's lives.
The best is still ahead of us.
It has no doubt will be the year of breakthrough.
Thank you for being part of this incredible journey.
Together, we will make 2025 another incredible year.
It's truly remarkable being able to experience that all together.
Yes, it's going to be amazing.
Are you ready for more?
Our whole team behind you, empowering people to take control of their well-being, their livelihood, their longevity. Share the vision. Be the light. Lifewave.